The lights in the studio flickered, the crowd fell silent, and you could almost feel the tension buzzing through the air as Travis Etienne Jr. leaned into the mic, his eyes sharp, his tone deliberate. "I'm just gonna say it," he declared, voice steady but burning with conviction. Liam Coen's offense isn't just different, it's dangerous. Within seconds, the internet exploded. Was this praise or a warning? Fans flooded social media, dissecting every word while teammates exchanged uncertain glances. But what no one saw coming was how this single statement would ignite a firestorm. Pulling in college football phenom Travis Hunter, sparking locker room whispers and even dividing Etienne's own circle of friends. Behind the scenes, emotions ran high, alliances were tested, and long-buried frustrations finally bubbled to the surface. Some insiders claim this wasn't just about football, it was personal. Others say Etienne was taking a veiled shot at a certain rival coach, while Hunter's camp felt blindsided and betrayed. What began as a simple compliment soon spiraled into a full-blown drama that had fans asking, "Is there more to the story than meets the eye?" Stay tuned because this saga only gets wilder from here. It started quietly, almost too quietly for the chaos that would follow. Travis Etienne Jr. sat on the edge of the studio chair, the rich Eisen show logo glowing faintly behind him. Cameras were rolling, the host smiled politely, and yet there was something simmering beneath Etienne's calm demeanor. Maybe it was pride, maybe frustration, maybe both. When he first mentioned Liam Coen's name, everyone thought it would be a routine shout-out, the kind athletes give to respected coaches. But the tone, the tone told a different story. "Liam Coen's offense," he said, tapping his finger against the table. "It's not just strategy, it's energy, it's belief. I've never seen players move like that, feel like that." At first, it sounded like pure admiration. But when he leaned closer to the mic, the air in the room seemed to shift. "It's something some coaches could learn from," he added. A thin smile crossed his face, one that looked more like a challenge than a compliment. Within minutes of the episode airing, the internet had lost its collective mind. Fans clipped that exact moment, looping it over dramatic music. Captions screamed things like, "Was Travis Etienne calling someone out?" And "Is there beef brewing behind the scenes?" The video climbed into trending charts before sunset. Some fans loved his boldness, others thought he was being reckless. But everyone agreed on one thing. There was more going on than met the eye inside the Jaguars' locker room. Whispers spread faster than wildfire. One player reportedly turned to another and said, "Did you see what he said about Coen?" That sounded personal. Another teammate laughed nervously, replying, "Nah man, he's just hyping him up." But even as they brushed it off, there was unease. The Jaguars had been under pressure lately, offensive schemes questioned, coaching decisions criticized, and now here was their star running back praising another team's coordinator on national television. It didn't sit right with some. One assistant coach was overheard muttering that Etienne's comment wasn't helpful timing. Meanwhile, Liam Coen, known for his calm, analytical approach, watched the clip from his office. According to one insider, he chuckled softly, shaking his head. "Travis has always been passionate," he reportedly said. "I appreciate the kind words." But behind that mild reaction, there was speculation. Sources close to Coen claimed he was both flattered and cautious. Flattered because Etienne was a respected name. Cautious because public compliments like this often come with hidden motives. In football circles, nothing was ever as simple as it seemed. But then the story took a turn no one predicted. A day after Etienne's interview, Travis Hunter, the college superstar making waves for his two-way play, posted a cryptic message on his social media. It read, "Offense looks good till someone tries both sides." No names, no context. Yet the timing was too perfect, too sharp to be coincidence. Fans immediately connected the dots. Is Hunter throwing shade at Etienne? Some wondered. Or at Liam Coen's system. Others thought it might even be an inside joke gone wrong. Either way, the tension grew. Suddenly, this wasn't just about coaching philosophy, it was about identity, pride, and the fine line between respect and rivalry. As more reactions poured in, sports talk shows went into overdrive. One analyst claimed that Etienne's comments were a calculated move, meant to stir conversation and maybe even shift attention away from the Jaguars' offensive struggles. Another expert, a former player, disagreed passionately. You could hear it in his voice. He said on air, "That wasn't strategy. That was frustration. Maybe he's tired of being underused. Maybe he's sending a message to his own team." The debate became the week's biggest headline. With every show trying to decode what Travis really meant, at home, Etienne's phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Messages from friends, teammates, even old college buddies poured in. One read, "Bro, what did you mean by that?" Twitter's going crazy. Another simply said, "You good?" That sounded spicy. Even family members got involved. His older brother, reportedly concerned, called to ask if he'd gotten into trouble. "Nah," Travis answered calmly, though his voice carried a tired edge. "I just spoke the truth." But that truth was starting to create cracks. Within the team, subtle tensions began to show. A few players defended him publicly, saying his comments were about football appreciation. Others, however, kept their distance, quietly questioning his motives. And then there was the head coach who, according to insiders, called Travis into his office the next day. The conversation, described as short but tense, reportedly revolved around professionalism, media perception, and the importance of keeping locker room unity. Travis nodded respectfully, but deep down, he couldn't help feeling misunderstood. "I was giving credit where it's due," he later told a close friend. Since when is honesty a problem? While that conversation stayed behind closed doors, rumors started swirling online that Travis and his coaching staff were not seeing eye to eye. A viral post claimed there had been shouting in practice, something witnesses later said was exaggerated. But the damage was done. Fans believed it, analysts discussed it, and soon, sports podcasts had an entire week's worth of speculation material. Some even claimed that Travis Hunter's camp had reached out to Travis Etienne privately, asking him to clarify his comment to stop fueling unnecessary drama. But no clarification came. Then came the twist that no one saw coming. Liam Coen himself was invited to appear on the same show a week later. The producers, sensing ratings gold, teased it for days. Will Liam respond to Travis Etienne's comments? The promo asked in bold letters. Social media buzzed again. When the day finally arrived, Cohen's demeanor was as calm as ever, but his words carried weight. "I respect Travis a lot," he said. "He's a passionate player, but I think people are reading too much into it." A pause followed, deliberate, measured. The game's emotional. Sometimes things come out differently than intended. To most viewers, it sounded diplomatic. But to fans hungry for drama, it sounded like shade wrapped in a smile. "Things come out differently than intended" quickly became a meme, attached to every gif of Travis Etienne looking frustrated during a game. Suddenly, the feud narrative wasn't just alive, it was thriving. Behind the scenes, Travis was growing weary. "They're twisting everything," he confided to a friend one night. "I said something nice, and now I'm in the middle of some fake rivalry." His friend advised him to issue a follow-up statement, maybe a video explaining his words, but Travis refused. "Nah," he said firmly. "I'm not feeding the noise yet." Ironically, his silence only made the speculation louder a week later. During practice, teammates noticed his focus slipping. He dropped a pass he'd normally catch with ease, missed a read, and spent longer than usual sitting alone on the sideline. One of the assistant coaches approached him gently. "Everything okay?" he asked. Travis just nodded, though the answer was written all over his face. The weight of public scrutiny, online gossip, and internal tension was beginning to show. Even his social media activity slowed. No posts, no replies, just silence. Fans noticed, and that only fueled more theories, and then, out of nowhere, Travis Hunter did something that shocked everyone. He went on a podcast and directly referenced the situation. "I respect Travis Etienne," he said, "but sometimes you gotta remember, football's a team thing. Not about who praises who." The host, sensing the electricity in the room, pushed further. "So you think he crossed a line?" Hunter smiled faintly. "Let's just say if I said something like that about another coach, I'd hear about it." That was the spark that reignited everything. Within hours, headlines blazed across sports media. Travis Hunter calls out Travis Etienne. Fan camps formed instantly. Team Etienne and Team Hunter. Old footage of both players from their college days resurfaced, edited with dramatic music as if this rivalry had been brewing for years. Even celebrities chimed in on social media, picking sides and throwing in their own hot takes. By this point, it was no longer about the game or the comments. It had become personal, emotional, and deeply public. Two athletes, both talented, both admired, were now caught in a narrative that was spinning far beyond their control. The media circus was relentless. Reporters waited outside team facilities. Journalists speculated about locker room reactions. And one outlet even claimed that Etienne's agent was considering damage control options. Inside his home, Travis sat in silence, scrolling through his feed, seeing his name trending again, but for all the wrong reasons. "It's like they want to fight," he murmured to himself. He looked up at the TV, where highlights of Travis Hunter's latest game played, the commentators still referencing the feud. It was surreal watching a story he never intended become the biggest headline in sports that week. He took a deep breath, leaning back, wondering how it had all spiraled so far, so fast. But deep down he knew the real storm was only just beginning. The morning after Travis Hunter's podcast, the sports world felt different. Tense, electric, almost on edge. The airwaves buzzed with endless analysis, while social media burned hotter than ever. Clips of Hunters.com but cutting remark were everywhere, replayed and dissected like fragments of a scandalous confession. "If I said something like that about another coach, I'd hear about it." Those 13 words had become a thunderclap. It wasn't just what he said, it was how he said it, the slight smirk, the steady eyes, the knowing tone that suggested he was saying far more than what the words revealed. Travis Etienne woke up to hundreds of missed notifications, texts from teammates, calls from reporters, and one voicemail that made his stomach twist from his agent, telling him bluntly, "We need to talk." He sat on the edge of his bed, staring at the floor, replaying the last 2 weeks in his mind. How had a simple compliment spiraled into this hurricane of speculation and rivalry? The problem was, it wasn't just about football anymore. It was about pride, reputation, and perception. In the NFL, where image was everything, public perception could build or break careers. That afternoon, he arrived at the training facility trying to keep his head down. But the tension followed him like a shadow. A few teammates nodded in quiet support, while others avoided eye contact altogether. One player, trying to lighten the mood, joked, "So, what's the headline today, man? You and Hunter going on celebrity boxing next." Travis forced a laugh, but the sting was real. "Nah," he muttered, "I'm done talking." But done talking wasn't an option anymore, because while he stayed silent, everyone else was talking for him. On one sports show, a former player claimed he had inside info that Etienne was fed up with his offensive role. On another, a panelist suggested that Hunter's comments were a subtle defense of his coach, maybe a way of calling out players who forget the team-first mindset. The narrative had split into camps, and fans were feeding both fires. Even more shocking, a rumor surfaced online that Liam Coen himself had reached out privately to Etienne, supposedly to clear the air. One post claimed they'd spoken for 20 minutes. Another said Coen had invited him to visit an off-season camp to discuss offensive philosophy. None of it was verified, but the rumor alone reignited the frenzy. The idea of the two men, one NFL star, one offensive mastermind, secretly meeting. It was too perfect for the internet to resist. By midweek, every corner of the football community had taken sides. Hashtags like #TeamATN and #TeamHunter trended daily. Meme pages turned the whole saga into viral jokes, splicing dramatic music over slow-motion game clips, turning ordinary plays into symbolic battles. Yet for Travis, none of it was funny. He'd stopped checking social media altogether, but even avoiding it didn't help. Everywhere he went, the gym, the field, even the grocery store, someone would bring it up one night. While sitting in his car outside his apartment, his phone buzzed with a familiar name, Travis Hunter. For a long moment, he stared at the screen, torn between curiosity and exhaustion. Finally, he answered. "Yo," he said cautiously. "Man, we gotta talk." Hunter's voice came through, casual but tense. "This is getting out of hand." Etienne exhaled slowly. "You think I don't know that? I didn't even start this." "Maybe not," Hunter said, "but people think you did. You know how the media is? They twist everything. Now it looks like we're beefing when we're not. So why'd you say that on the podcast then?" Travis asked, unable to hide the frustration creeping into his tone. "You knew what people would think." Hunter hesitated. "I didn't mean it like that, bro. I was just trying to cool it down, remind folks it's about the team. But I guess that didn't work." "No, it didn't," Travis muttered. There was a long pause, the kind that carried more emotion than words could. Finally, Hunter said, "Look, maybe we do a joint interview. Clear the air together. Show people it's all love." Etienne thought about it. It made sense, logically. But part of him felt cornered. "I don't know, man," he said softly. "Feels like if I talk again, they'll just twist it again." "They will," Hunter admitted, "but if we stay quiet, they'll twist that too." The call ended without resolution, but the idea lingered. Maybe a joint appearance could fix this. Maybe it could show the world that this so-called rivalry was nothing but noise. But then again, maybe it would just feed the storm. Meanwhile, inside the Jaguars organization, pressure was mounting. The head coach, frustrated by the constant distractions, reportedly told the team during a closed-door meeting, "We play football here, not Twitter wars. I want focus, not headlines." Some players nodded in agreement, others shifted uncomfortably. Even those who supported Travis privately were starting to feel the weight of the media circus. And yet, the fire refused to die. Every small move became a headline. When Travis liked an old highlight clip of Liam Coen's offense, sports blogs declared ATN reignites praise and controversy. When Hunter tweeted a simple football emoji after a big game, fans claimed it was shade. Even their silence was interpreted as strategy. Things reached a boiling point during a Sunday game. Travis had been performing well, running with aggression. But late in the second quarter, after missing a crucial block, cameras caught him slamming his helmet on the sideline. It wasn't unusual players vent all the time, but commentators instantly tied it to lingering frustrations and emotional fallout from recent controversy. By the next morning, the clip had over 2 million views. In private, Travis felt the walls closing in. "No matter what I do," he told a teammate quietly, "it's always about that stupid interview." The teammate nodded sympathetically. "That's the game, bro. Media loves drama." But something inside Travis was shifting. He wasn't just angry anymore. He was determined. If the world wanted a story, he'd give them one. Not a scandal, but a statement. 2 days later, he called his agent. "Set it up," he said simply. "That joint interview, me and Hunter." The news broke instantly. Travis Etienne and Travis Hunter to appear together live, addressing the controversy once and for all. Fans couldn't believe it. Every sports outlet announced it like it was a title fight. Anticipation built for days. Was it going to be a peace talk or a confrontation? Would they shake hands or exchange shots? When the day finally came, the tension was palpable. The studio lights were low, the air heavy with expectation. Both Travises sat side by side, ATN.com, but guarded. Hunter relaxed but alert. The host greeted them with forced cheer, trying to mask the electricity in the room. So the host began. "Let's clear the air. Travis Etienne, when you praised Liam Coen's offense, what did you really mean?" Etienne took a slow breath. "I meant what I said. I respect his work. I wasn't comparing. I wasn't criticizing anyone else. I was just showing love to good football. The host nodded. And Travis Hunter, your response on that podcast, was it directed at him? Hunter leaned forward, smiling slightly. I was just saying that at the end of the day, we all play for something bigger than one coach or one scheme. I respect Travis. We good? For a brief moment, it felt like the tension might finally dissolve. But then the host, sensing the need for ratings, asked, so no rivalry at all? Because fans are convinced there's more here. Hunter chuckled. Nah, man. The only rivalry we got is who gets more touchdowns this season. Etienne smirked. Good luck keeping up. The audience laughed. The moment lightened. But beneath the surface, the energy was still uncertain. Both men were smiling, yet their eyes told different stories. There was respect there. Yes, but also competitiveness, pride, and maybe a hint of unresolved tension as they left the studio. Cameras flashing, fans cheering, the narrative began to shift. Some called it reconciliation. Others weren't convinced. One sports anchor summed it up perfectly that night. They said the right things, but something tells me this isn't over. And he was right. Because while the public saw two athletes making peace, behind the scenes, something was stirring. Unseen conversations, quiet frustrations, and a sense that not everything had been said. And as one insider later revealed, that interview didn't end the story. It just opened the next chapter. When the camera shut off and the bright studio lights dimmed, the calm that Travis Etienne and Travis Hunter had tried to display began to fade. Once the microphones were clipped off and the polite smiles dissolved, both men stood there in silence for a few tense seconds. The crew moved around them, packing up cables and checking their recordings. But the air between the two athletes was thick, not with anger, but with something heavier, more complex. Etienne was the first to speak, his tone low. You really think that fixed anything? He asked, his gaze steady. Hunter shrugged. It's better than letting them keep writing stories about us. Etienne nodded, but his jaw tightened. Yeah, maybe. But I don't think they're done. They're gonna twist this too. They always do. Hunter sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. Maybe. But that's out of our control, bro. As they walked out into the night air, flashes from waiting cameras lit up the parking lot. Fans shouted their names, some cheering, some heckling. One voice yelled, Team Hunter. Another shouted back, Team Etienne all day. They exchanged a quick glance, an unspoken understanding that no matter what they said, the world had already decided what it wanted to believe. The next morning, the headlines were everywhere again. Travis Etienne and Travis Hunter make peace. But fans aren't buying it. The footage of them joking at the end of the interview played on repeat, edited to look like forced laughter. One commentator said, you can feel it, that wasn't genuine. There's still tension. Another said, this is what happens when egos clash under the spotlight. For Etienne, it was exhausting. Every attempt to move forward was being dragged back into controversy. He tried to focus on football, throwing himself into practice, but distractions followed him like a shadow. Teammates whispered, reporters lingered, and even casual questions about the team's next game somehow turned into veiled references to off-field tension. One evening, as he left the facility, he got a call from his mother. Her voice was soft, concerned. Baby, you okay? I've been seeing all this stuff online. I'm fine, Ma, he said, though his voice carried the fatigue of someone who hadn't truly rested in days. You don't sound fine. People talking crazy, saying you're feuding with that boy. You know how these things stick. Yeah, I know, he replied, sighing, but it's all noise. I'm just trying to play my game. She paused. Don't let them change who you are, Travis. You got where you are by staying humble. Her words hit him harder than he expected. Humble. He had always tried to be. But lately, everything around him seemed designed to test that fame, tension, and now this endless storm of speculation over the next week. Things seemed to calm down on the surface. The media had news stories to chase. A quarterback controversy here, a surprise upset there. For the first time in weeks, Etienne's name wasn't trending. But peace never lasts long in sports. One small spark can reignite an entire fire. And this time, the spark came from an unexpected place. Liam Coen himself broke his silence again. Speaking during a college press conference, he was asked casually about NFL players who admired his system. Smiling, he replied, "It's nice to hear compliments, but I'm focused on my own, guys. We're building something real here. No offense to anyone else, but I care about players who buy into the team, not the hype." The crowd chuckled, but that last line, "not the hype," hit like lightning online. Within hours, fans were posting it side by side with clips of Travis Etienne's interview. Was Coen throwing shade back? Is he calling Etienne hype? The old rivalry had been reignited overnight. Travis saw the clip while scrolling late at night. For a moment, he just stared at the screen, shaking his head in disbelief. "Here we go again," he muttered under his breath. He knew what would happen next. The calls, the articles, the drama. And sure enough, by morning, sports networks were already spinning their theories. One host even joked, "At this rate, someone's going to make a documentary called Travis versus Travis. Gridiron Grudge." The joke wasn't far from reality. A popular sports channel actually began producing a short docuseries on modern rivalries, dedicating an entire episode to the Etienne Hunter dynamic. The trailer featured slow motion, shots of both players, dramatic narration, and ominous background music. Neither of them had agreed to participate. But their names were once again everywhere. Inside the locker room, the situation grew uncomfortable. Some players teased Etienne lightheartedly. "Hey Hollywood, you got your own show now," but others looked uneasy. One veteran pulled him aside quietly. "You're a leader, bro. Don't let this mess distract you. People follow your energy." That hit him harder than he expected. Leadership wasn't about talking. It was about how you carried yourself when everything fell apart. So Travis made a decision. No more silence, no more half answers. He would confront this mess head on, but on his own terms. He called his agent again. "I want to go live," he said firmly. "No script, no interview setup, just me talking to the fans." The next evening, he did exactly that. From his living room, wearing a simple hoodie, he went live on social media. Tens of thousands of people joined within minutes. His tone was calm, steady, but filled with emotion. "I've seen a lot of stuff being said about me," he began. "Some of it's funny, some of it's wild, most of it's wrong. I didn't mean to start drama. I respect Liam Coen. I respect Travis Hunter. I just love the game. That's it. No beef, no shade." He paused, looking into the camera. "But I gotta say this. Sometimes it feels like people don't want to see athletes support each other unless it's fake. I was being real, and somehow that turned into a problem." The comments exploded with support. Fans flooded the chat with heart emojis, messages like "We got you, Travis," and "Real talk right here." But not everyone was convinced. A few cynical comments stood out. "Damage control much?" Funny how these apologies always come after the doc drops. Still, the stream went viral. Within hours, every sports outlet picked it up, calling it Travis Etienne's emotional statement. Analysts praised his honesty. Others questioned his timing, but one thing was clear. He'd taken control of the narrative, at least for the moment. Then next day, Travis Hunter tweeted a simple message: "Respect. Nothing else." And just like that, the tension between the two seemed to dissolve. Both fan bases celebrated it like a truce. For a while, things were peaceful again. But peace, in the world of sports fame, is fragile. A week later, during a game, Travis had a standout performance, over 150 yards, 2 touchdowns. After the second score, he celebrated by holding up 2 fingers and tapping his chest. It was a gesture he'd done before, symbolizing double effort, but some fans interpreted it differently. Memes popped up instantly. The 2 stands for Travis Hunter. The narrative was back, the storm alive again. This time, however, the twist came from the fans themselves. An online fan war erupted between supporters of both athletes. Threads of insults, conspiracy theories, and even Photoshop screenshots flooded every corner of social media. One fake account posted a doctored message claiming Etienne had mocked Hunter privately. It wasn't real. But by the time it was debunked, it had been shared over 1 million times. The chaos grew so intense that even team management started taking notice. A public relations advisor pulled Etienne aside, warning him, "This isn't just noise anymore. It's shaping your image. We might need to take legal action against the fake stuff." That night, alone in his apartment, Travis sat by the window, the city lights flickering below. His phone buzzed constantly. Mentions, tags, articles. He placed it face down, closing his eyes. It was supposed to be about football, he whispered to himself. Across the country, Travis Hunter watched the same mess unfold online. He too was tired of being dragged into a storyline that had stopped being about the game long ago. He texted Etienne quietly, "Bro, this gotta end. Let's do something real this time." A few minutes later, Etienne replied, "You read my mind. I got an idea," and just like that, a new plan began to form. Something bold, unexpected, and maybe, just maybe, the one thing that could finally bring peace to a story that had spiraled out of control. That plan started as a simple idea, one conversation, one game, one message, but by the time it reached the public, it had turned into something much bigger. Travis Etienne and Travis Hunter, the two men whose names had been dragged through weeks of rumors, agreed to face each other, not in words, not in interviews, but on the field. It wasn't an official NFL matchup or a college exhibition. It was a charity event, something meant to bring communities together. At least that's how the press release described it. But everyone knew what it really was. This was the showdown. As soon as the announcement dropped, the internet exploded. To Travis's, one field, one game. SPORTS channels called it the event of the offseason. Even celebrities were talking about it. Some saw it as a marketing stunt. Others called it redemption. But for the two men at the center of it all, it was personal. It was never about proving who was better. It was about taking back control of their story. Behind closed doors, both men trained like they were preparing for the Super Bowl. Travis Etienne spent extra hours at the facility running drills until midnight, his focus razor sharp. Every time he felt his legs burn, he thought about every headline, every meme, every twisted soundbite that had painted him as something he wasn't. Travis Hunter did the same, splitting his time between offense and defense, determined to show everyone that he wasn't just a player caught in controversy, he was a competitor. Through and through. Days before the game, reporters camped outside practices. The coverage was relentless. Every small detail became a headline. Etienne seen smiling at practice, confidence, or arrogance. Hunter refuses interviews, silent but deadly. Fans took sides again, arguing in comment sections like it was a championship game. The hype had become unstoppable. On the morning of the event, the stadium buzzed with an energy that felt unreal. Thousands of fans poured in, holding homemade signs that read things like "Peace Through Play" and "Team Travis ×2." The charity organizers couldn't believe the turnout. What was meant to be a friendly exhibition had become a cultural moment. Both men arrived separately, surrounded by their small teams of family, friends, and advisors. Travis Etienne's mother hugged him tightly before he walked out. "Remember who you are," she whispered. "Play your game, not theirs." When he stepped onto the field, the crowd roared. Cameras followed every move, every glance, every breath. Across the field, Travis Hunter jogged out to equal cheers. For a moment, they stood facing each other, not as rivals, but as two men finally reclaiming their story. The whistle blew and the game began. It wasn't about the score, it was about the message. And yet, both men played like it meant everything. Travis Etienne ran with a fire that reminded everyone why he was one of the most explosive backs in the league. Travis Hunter, switching effortlessly between wide receiver and cornerback, mirrored that energy, matching him stride for stride. Every play drew cheers. Every interaction between the two drew camera flashes. Midway through the game, something happened that no one expected. On a broken play, Etienne cut across the middle, breaking 2 tackles before charging toward the sideline straight into Hunter's zone. The crowd held its breath as Hunter closed in. For a split second, it looked like collision was inevitable. But instead of tackling him hard, Hunter wrapped him up lightly and laughed. "You still fast, man," he said, patting him on the back. Etienne grinned, catching his breath. "You still talk too much." The crowd erupted, not because of the play, but because of the exchange. 2 men who had been painted as enemies were out there laughing together, competing hard but showing mutual respect. That moment, small, genuine, unplanned, became the turning point. From then on, the tone of the game shifted. Every play felt lighter, more joyful. They joked on the field, encouraged each other, and celebrated together after big moments. By the final whistle, the score didn't even matter. The 2 Travises walked off side by side, arms slung around each other's shoulders, both smiling for the first time in weeks. After the game, during the post-event interview, a reporter asked the question everyone wanted answered. "So after everything, the interviews, the podcasts, the rumors, what's the truth between you 2? Travis Etienne took the mic first, his voice steady. "The truth is, people love drama, but real ones don't feed it. We compete, we respect, we move on. That's football. That's life." Then Travis Hunter added, "This game wasn't about proving who's better. It was about showing what happens when you stop listening to the noise. We good? We always been good." The crowd cheered. Flashes went off. And for the first time since this whole saga began, there was nothing left to twist, nothing left to analyze. It was raw, simple, human. As they left the field that night, both men knew something had changed. Not just in the public eye, but within themselves. For Travis Etienne, it was a reminder of why he started playing in the first place. For the love of the game, not the headlines. For Travis Hunter, it was proof that, even in chaos, integrity and respect could still win. Over the next few days, the internet did what it always does. It moved on. The memes faded, the debates quieted. Clips from the charity game flooded feeds instead, showing laughter, hugs, and sportsmanship. Fans who once argued were now posting comments like, "This is what real competition looks like," in respect to both Travises for handling it with class. Liam Coen himself eventually addressed it again, this time in a completely different tone. "I saw the game," he said during an interview. "That's what football's about, unity through competition." Those 2 reminded everyone why we love this sport. For Etienne, hearing that was closure. Not because Coen had spoken, but because the story had come full circle. What started as a misunderstood compliment had turned into one of the biggest emotional roller coasters of his career, and somehow, it ended with peace. A week later, Travis posted one final message on his social media. "No sides, no beef, just ball." The post went viral instantly, but this time, not because of controversy, because people believed it. Hunter replied with a single emoji, a handshake, and that was it. No interviews, no follow-ups, no explanations. The 2 men let the silence speak for itself. But behind the calm, both knew something deeper had shifted. They'd seen how quickly words could be twisted, how fragile truth could become when filtered through headlines and hashtags. They'd learned that fame magnified everything. The wins, the losses, the misunderstandings. And yet, they'd also learned that honesty still mattered. Even when it was messy, one night, weeks later, Travis Etienne was back on the Rich Eisen show. The host smiled as the cameras rolled. "So, Travis," he said, "after everything, what did you take away from all this?" Etienne leaned back in his chair, smiling faintly. "That sometimes you don't control the story, you just control how you respond. And I think we responded the right way. No regrets." The host asked, "None," Travis replied. "Just lessons." The crowd applauded softly, and the host nodded. "Well said." As the segment ended and the credits rolled, there was no tension this time. No drama hanging in the air, just a quiet sense of resolution. Outside the studio, the world kept spinning, stories kept coming, and the headlines moved on. But for Travis Etienne and Travis Hunter, the noise had finally faded. The noise had finally faded. And somewhere out there, a young athlete watching the saga unfold would learn something too. That in a world addicted to conflict, the real victory isn't winning the argument, it's walking away with respect. Even when the world tries to pit you against someone who was never your enemy to begin with. And so, what began with a misunderstood sentence ended with two players standing side by side, rivals on the field, but brothers in spirit. The drama, the tension, the chaos, all of it melted into one simple truth that echoed louder than any rumor ever could. It was never about the feud. It was always about the game. And just like that, the saga of Travis Etienne and Travis Hunter came to an end. Not with a fight, not with a scandal, but with a handshake and a reminder that respect still matters, even when the world's watching. But here's the thing, stories like this never really end, do they? Fans are still divided. Some saying Travis's honesty changed the game, others believing Hunter handled it like a pro. And then there are those who think Liam Coen's words might spark something even bigger next season. So what do you think? Was Travis Etienne just misunderstood? Or was this his way of sending a message to the entire league? Did Travis Hunter truly make peace? Or is there still some quiet rivalry simmering beneath all that respect? And do you think Liam Coen will ever bring these two together on the same side of the ball someday? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We're reading everything. Do you think they'll team up in the future, or are they destined to face each other again under brighter lights and higher stakes? Because if there's one thing this story taught us, it's that in football and in life, anything can happen when pride, passion, and talent collide. And hey, if you love this roller coaster of emotions, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more dramatic behind-the-scenes stories, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next big twist in the world of football. Because if you thought this was wild, just wait till you hear who's speaking out next week. Trust us, you won't want to miss it.